Okay, hello. I am. Hello and welcome to a PinBuilder development session. My name is Anna and I am the developer of a video game called PinBuilder. And I will be working on the game today. So if you're curious about what's going on behind the scenes of this game, or you're into Unreal Engine and looking for just anything you can find on that, well, you've come to the right place. So I'm just gonna start just kind of walking through the game. I expect nobody will really come watch this video, but um, I know that I've been really quiet for a while now, you guys, and I apologize for that. I do deal with some, uh, oh, just personal stuff that causes me to not want to interact every day. So that may be why you don't hear from me too often. But I do want you to know I'm here and I am working on the flippers at the moment. So let's see. Wait, before I go do that, let's go over here. If you're a PinBuilder fan, then you might find this interesting. And if you're an Unreal fan, then you probably find some of this interesting too. This is all of the um, content and folders with all the stuff for the game. And this is just basically the play mode level here. So, you know what? I think I'm gonna try to just take. Oh, I guess so. I just have to leave my headset on. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is fix the flippers. One of the things that that I did when I initially started this project was I set the flippers up to be collidable, but they are not physics objects. So they don't react like a physics object in the game, which means that they're not going to behave quite right because a lot of other physics stuff in the game has been updated. So what I've done is I've had to do some creative setup and coding with these things. Excuse me. So I set up a base mounting point right here, which is just obviously this post. And then I have a physics constraint, which constrains the flipper to that post. So if I just grab the flipper and I move that up, you can see that's the flipper that's constrained. If I select that again, you can see there's a constraint here. So the red is the base, and then this object up here is constrained to that. So let's put that back. So this is how I've got this set up, but the reason that I have had to do this way instead is what I want to explain next. So in order to turn an object, in order to rotate that flipper in the game itself, there's two ways you can do that. You can use set rotation. So if I wanted to rotate this flipper here, I can grab out a reference to it. And again, that's this flipper right there. You may have noticed there's a second one. This one is for use in for something else. And we'll get to that a little bit later. So in order to rotate a flipper, you can do this one of a couple of ways. You can say set local or add local offset or add local rotation. That's one thing. So if you wanted to rotate the flipper by 1 degree, I think it's 1 degree per second, you could do that. The problem there is you're actually simply just rotating it as if you were doing this here, as if you're just turning it. And that is where we find conflict in the physics engine, because what ends up happening is if you have, let me just see if I can't show this in a super simple way. All right, where's that sphere? Let's see. I just put this ball in here. Let's say this is a ball, right? And what happens is when you rotate, let me get this up out of there. When you rotate the flipper by using add local rotation or set rotation, you can also do, there's another one, set rotation, set world. So you could do set relative rotation, or which is what I would use actually. I wouldn't use this one. I would use set relative rotation if I just wanted to rotate an object, and not have it be super highly dependent on physics. So there's kind of two modes to Unreal. There's the physics engine mode, and then there's just moving objects around manually mode. So if you wanted to rotate this, 10 degrees per second or whatever the rotation rate is, or it's actually a direct rotation. So if you set the relative rotation to 0, that's going to be right here. But let's say we wanted to rotate it to 90 degrees, that would do the same thing when the game is running, and it would have the effect of rotating this just like that, 90 degrees. I grabbed the wrong thing, but you get the idea. So we don't want that. We want actual physics changes to occur. So in order to do that, I have had to rebuild these flippers, and they're actually built much more like a real world flipper now. And the way that this works is these are physics objects, and they have some extra properties that I can take advantage of. So I can do an add torque in degrees or radians. So if we do this, basically what this does is if I say I want to add 500 units of torque in the Z, and we'll accelerate. We'll add an acceleration change. If we don't do this, it doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot. But if you add accel change, then it has the effect of rotating this around. It'll add torque to it, and it'll just keep spinning, right? So you'll be basically by adding torque, it's like adding torque to a wheel or something, and that'll just keep spinning. So the difference here, why this is important and why it's taking me kind of a while to get this to work exactly the way I want it to, is because if we rotate using the set rotation, what will happen is this could set the rotation to right here while the actual pinball is moving. Let's say it's moving this direction, coming at the flipper. If that's flying this way at a certain speed, and it is all physics based, it is not being told, hey, move over here 2 units, move over there. No, this is all, the ball itself is all physics. So if it's flying in this velocity direction this way, and the flipper is set to increment 10 degrees or whatever it may be, then you're going to end up with the flipper and ball overlapping because you're directly setting the rotation of that flipper or whatever that may be in your game. So if you're wanting to have something that's basically a physics object, then you have to use physics commands to move it around. So let me get rid of that because I don't want that in the game. We'll save all. I don't know any Unreal Engine developers watching this. Make sure you do Control-Shift-S all the time. Save your stuff. Get used to that. Make it a habit. All right, so we're adding torque in degrees. Well, the next question is, if we just add torque, the flipper's just going to spin around, round, around, and round, and round, and round in a circle. That's not what we want. So what we do is with the, let's go back over here, and I'm going to set this to wireframe, and I'm going to select the physics constraint. Is it going to let me see the thing? Constraint? Yeah. Okay, so basically what I have here is you can see this red area. Yeah, let me get back into lit mode. And I wanna hide this. Well, visible. All right, that may make it easier to see this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so essentially, oops, what I've got here is I have an ability to rotate the flipper only within a given angle. Ah, darn it. So you can see right there the angle is displayed with the red. So if I go here and go down to this angle right here, this limit, the swing limit, I can set that. If I set it to 90, you'll see that it spreads out. And that's actually double the angle that we want, or it on here, it's double the angle that we want. So 90 degrees is 90 degrees left and right of the center angle, if that makes sense. So if I go 10 degrees, you've got 5 degrees on either side of the center angle. And 1 degree will basically point it at 0, almost, right? So you've got literally 2 degrees of range right there. So if we go 45 degrees of range, that's what that would be allowed to turn, is 45 degrees. So when you give it a little bit of torque, then what's going to happen is that torque's going to slap this up to there as fast as possible, or as fast as you have your torque set to. Okay, so and then it's going to relax back to its spot. So let's just take a look at that real quick, and I'll show you how that looks. And right now, since I'm in development, you're going to notice some weird behavior. Like you can see that the flipper is sitting underneath. It's not centered right. I'm not sure why that's happening. That's one of those kinds of things that I have to deal with when I'm developing the game, is that I have to deal with weird, inconsistent crap that pops up like that, where it's like, okay, so, oops, uh, I'm sorry, I pressed a button that I didn't want to press. Okay, but when we start the game, you'll see that as soon as I press the flipper, it's going to pop up into the right spot. So what this is doing is it is adding, let me get above it, is actually adding torque now to the flipper. And as you can see, it's going at a 90-degree angle, right? So it's like 45 degrees of whatever you want to call it. So the physics constraint holds the flipper in place to a point. You can see how it's not moving. Well, that's yet another bug. And you can see the other flipper there is acting kind of weird. That's another bug. So physics with flippers is very buggy, and it's very challenging. So this is why I've been quiet, and this is why I'm trying to get this stuff fixed the right way so that these behave exactly the way anybody would expect them to behave. So let's get here. Why am I? Oh, I tilted the table. All right, I'm gonna exit out and I'm gonna go back because I hit tilt, and with this particular setup, this playfield I have here, there's really no way to untilt. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start up again. And I have a spawner, so let's spawn a ball. And now these two flippers are operating in a completely physics-based way. So as I hold this up, as I hold the, oops, see, we got more problems. As I hold the flipper up like this, it's doing it in the exact same way that it would in the real world. I'm going to show you that right now. So here's the way this actually set up to work. So here's the blueprint code. So for those of you who are just from the pinball side of things, Unreal Engine is amazing. All of this is a visual representation of the code itself. A lot of these things are like subroutines and functions and things like that, and there are references all over the place that I have to set up that are deep, and I'm not even going to get into a lot of that, but all of this visual representation gets converted into C++ code. And, um, that's one thing. I also write actual C++ code for this game. In certain circumstances, it's required, but we're not going to get into that today. Let's see. So if we are flipping, so we're holding the flipper button down, that's getting checked right here. So are we flipping? Yes. So for flipping, we're going to go up to here, and we're basically flipping the, the flipper through this path here, and we're adding that torque in degrees right here. And the torque is based on a couple of different things. It's got a juice level that is internal. I'm not going to explain that, but that's part of the power level or electrical level of the flipper to give it the right slap. So we also have solenoid power. So if we go and look back at our flipper in edit mode, and we select this. Let me save to get rid of all that text. If I select this, you can see here the power multiplier is at 1. So let's do point. Well, I can't do 0.1, can I? No. I can't do. I thought I could do. Oh, I can. Okay. Yeah, something just didn't act right. All right. So now with a lower power multiplier, let's see what that has the effect of doing on the speed of the rotation of the, not much, has it? All right. Oh, wait. So this is always setting this juice level to 5,000. I'm going to drop this down to 100 just to give it a, this is our base level of power. So um, I don't know that that's saved at 0.1. So it should be a tenth of that, which would be a power of 10, which would give it a little bit less. But now I'm thinking, let's just set that to 1. Save that. I'm going to set this to 0. So, well, no, let's set it to 1. Because if I set it to 0, it's going to always be 0. I'll set it to 1 and it'll always be whatever the solenoid power is. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to establish a baseline power level for the flipper. And I know that a lot of you guys who are already playing the game probably asking me right now, why the hell haven't you, uh, you know, done this before now or whatever? Where am I? I'm trying to think. Yeah, 1 isn't enough. I need to, okay, we're flipping. The max reach is false, max reach is true. So let me just say also, so this section here is if our maximum extent has been reached, it's going to hold it in place with a lesser amount of torque. Don't really need that. So essentially what I'm trying to do right now is just see if I can't bring that push level down. So I'm trying to figure out also why is it, wait, let me go back here. I'm going to set this to 8. Another factor in all this is that I need to do all the back-end math in such a way that the physics version of the the movement of the flippers doesn't differ extremely from what we had before, so that people aren't sitting there going, "Oh my God, what? Why is this not operating the way I expected it to?" So if I just tap it, it's not doing anything. But you can see if I hold it, it'll go up. We can actually, let's see, I can do this. If I can, trying to make this smaller, but I can't get it to detach from the thing. Let's see. All right, so let's look at our flipper. So right now it's in a rest position. So here's the flow of what's going on. So we're not flipping. So we're setting the physics constraint to have certain settings so that it'll just relax back down to the rest position here. And then if we flip, oops, oh my God, what's going on? So if we flip, then that flow will go up that way. But for right now, it is resting, and then it's just going up to this print so that I can see what's actually going on. If it's not resting at the bottom of its stroke, then what we're going to do is we're going to go this way, and we're going to see if it's past the rest angle. We're going to add torque back to resting. This torque level can be adjusted. So if I want that to really slap back, I put 50,000. But if we want it to just slowly go back, we could say 5. Let's see if I can show you a difference there. It's kind of hard to tell. And now it doesn't flip at all because we don't have enough juice level. Let's put that back at, we'll put that at 500. Let's see. It was 5,000 before, but I'm going to put it at 500 and see if that's, because I don't want it to be too much. If you have too much physics power, like if you add too much torque to an object, you can get some really weird behavior. So you can see that one's really slow. That's a bug. We're not working on the left flipper, by the way. We're just working on the right one. But now you can see how it's got a little bit more control. And it's maybe not exactly right, but let's mess around here. So you may have noticed that the one on the left had a kind of a bounce to it. Well, that's another problem that I had to overcome. So I don't know if you can tell, but well, never mind. I'm not even going to go into this because it's something so deep that I don't think really anybody else is going to be, you know, it's not going to affect anybody else, so never mind. But let's see if we can add, let's add a bunch to that and see. And you can see the ghost flipper here is at an angle that is not the same angle as where that's flipping to. So these are all little things that I have to work on to make this so that it flips right and it behaves correctly. So let's see. We should get a little bit more power out of that now. It's a bit better, but it's not as strong as I'd like it to be. Let's take this back up to 2000. So you see what's happening here is that when you add torque to the flipper, it's actually sweeping the flipper up. It's sweeping it through its whole motion. Whereas, and with that, the ball is properly interacted with the whole time. So we can get a lot better control over the direction of where the ball is. Like now, if I hit it just a little, I can just gently, or I can really move it, right? So there's a lot more finer nuance to the flippers now. So the left one and the right one are not the same, obviously, but this is what I'm working on at the moment, and it's going to be so much better when it comes to actually playing the game because it's so much more what you would expect, you know, from how a flipper should work. Let's see if we can get rid of some of these. Cool. All right. So now another thing that's been a big problem is the new where there. Wait. The new plunger. So one of the things I discovered there was I was doing the same thing. I was moving it and setting the offset instead of actually using a physics-based spring. So you see there's a bug right there, right? It's behaving pretty nicely in terms of, let's see if I can't get rid of that ball now. Yeah, can't get rid of it because I can't shoot it with this shooter. And you'll notice that it's not really doing much when it hits it. So I got a little bit of work to do on that. But this is the state of where things are. And all this code right here is essentially what handles flipper actuation. But there's a lot more to it. We have angles to update. We've got all kinds of things going on inside the flippers themselves. And another issue is with regards to the colliders. So let me go back to play mode, or edit mode actually. And I got to give you an update on the flipper colliders here too, because, oops, I don't know why I did that. So with the flipper, you have to have interactivity with the ball. So it's got to hit the ball. So if I do this, I can turn on collision, and we can see the actual collision in the game, which is kind of hard to spot here. But okay, so on this one, let's see. Okay, so here on this flipper, see that light pink kind of flipper-shaped object inside the flipper? That's the collider now. It's not actually colliding with the flipper itself, so it's not colliding with the plastic or the rubber. There's a collider inside these, and it's the shape of this flipper. And there's a reason for that. That's got to be separate now because it provides much better collision handling and physics isn't directly attached to it. So I have to keep the physics object of the flipper model separate from the collider model for reasons that are deep and kind of hard to explain. But the problem I'm trying to explain to you now is that if we set this to a short rounded one, we've got some issues. So let me turn collision back, or that back off. And as you can see, it's showing the other flipper still. And if I save this and we go into play mode, it's going to be all out of whack and it's not even going to work right. It's going to show it down here, and there's our collider, which we shouldn't even be seeing at all. And it's just acting strange. So this is yet another physics-based bug I have to deal with. So what happens when you select a different variant of some object in the game, it runs this code when it loads that object onto the playfield. So it'll say, I want to set the mesh variant to whatever ID it is, and it gets that ID here from this object variance table. So if I type flipper, let's say flipper right, all of these are the variants of flippers. So we have the standard, the short rounded one, the lit one, and you'll see that this list of names right here are what show up when we're in edit mode. And we're looking to set that. So those are those names. So there are actual like display models for each one of these, and previously the flippers have been using those models as the collider, and that has worked okay because it just has. So there's another weird thing. I got to fix that. That's because I selected a different object and it doesn't have the right collision. So what this does is it does a class lookup. It does a it looks up to see what class this is, which it'll find the class is flipper right. That's our class. That's an actor. So that's an actor that can be dropped into the game. And it finds out what class it is. So this will return flipper RT. It looks that up in the object variants table, which is here. So it'll find this class name, flipper RT, and then it will select the variant ID right here. So what it does is it gets that class ID, and then it outputs that row of data for that class ID, which is actually it'll get all these rows of data, right? So it gets all these rows of data here, and then that's the structure you get. And so what you want to do is you want to select the one where, well, basically you're switching on that object variant ID integer. And this gets various object references. So we have different static meshes. So for example, the standard one is referring to the flipper mesh. And we can look at that by clicking on this little folder. And we can see this is the mesh. So this is the actual visible mesh that you see for the right flipper. And this is where we can set some of the parameters for it. And we can also set up collision and things like that here. But then there are other meshes, and they're all the flippers types are in here. And if we look at this one, this is like a short one. That's the left one. So that's that. I've done all this modeling. So anything you see in this, I've done it. Everything in here I've done. I did all the 3D modeling. I did all the coding. I did all the artwork. So I hope that this helps you understand why sometimes my development may just sort of seem to stall, but I'm working really hard on some deep level stuff. So I just want to share with you what's going on. Plus, if anyone else out there is into Unreal Engine and physics and all that, hopefully some of these things I talk about can help um, you to, make your Unreal game better. All right, so this is our object variants list. So as you can see, there's 10 variants of the flipper. And if I clear that selection out, these are all the variations of all the game objects that we have in the game. So, there's a lot of objects. There's 186 objects in there, or 185, I guess. Yeah. So, anyways, that's that. So that's just the variation of objects, and then we also have our object list. So this is the full list of all the objects that you can put on a playfield and save. And basically, these are really great. These are data tables. So if you're a coder and you want to have references to things where you may have variants of an object or a character or something, I highly recommend you get into data tables. Data tables are super, super easy to use, and the referencing is super simple. You basically say, get the data table row, and you can select the data table you want to, get that row from, and you just tell it what row name you want, and that row name is the one. Let's see. The row name is this one. So it gets all of those. Well, it gets the row name that you're looking for, and all that. So you can use that. It's basically like a database where you can do a lookup and get specific stuff that you want for an object or anything like that. And you can set these data tables up however you want. You add the columns you want, and for each column you have, they're down here. And you can set the type, what it is, and customize it to how you need it or want it to work. So that's how that works for setting the mesh variants. But with flippers, it's a little bit different. You got to go through a lot of kind of setting and configuring to get it to work and to show the right colors and materials and things like that. So it's a complicated thing. When I started building this game, I did not think that it would be so damn complicated. And if you're wondering what this box is, that is the collider. When the ball rolls into this space and you're running the game in AI mode, that's where the ball will be when it gets kicked. So well, I don't need to show you that. It's just a trigger box, basically. Okay, so let's see. Now I've kind of spent a lot of time sort of explaining to you what's going on here. One of the reasons that you haven't heard from me in a while, as I've done this, is because I don't need the distraction right now. I have to focus, and I have ADHD, and I have OCD, not, and I'm on the spectrum, the Asperger's, or not Asperger, but the autism spectrum. So with those three things, it makes it a little bit hard for me to kind of stay focused sometimes. So that's why you'll see me just disappear from the face of the earth. But I just want to reassure you guys, and especially those of you new to the game, that I am working on this all the time. I do work on it every day. There are some days where it's a little bit harder to work on, just because I get into like a loop, a coder loop, I guess, is the best way I can put it. To where I'll be like, okay, oh my God, why is that not working? Where's my flipper? Why is that, what the hell is going on? And I'll do one thing, I'll change one thing, I'll be like, okay, way far out, I fixed that. Let me go back and, and I'll look at it, and then it'll be like this. And I'll be like, why the hell is it sitting in there like that? That's not what I want. You know, the one on the left is working, but the one on the right's not working. What the hell? Oh, now it's working. You know, and so it's just this ongoing, okay, let me test it. Now let me go back. Oh, why is that not working? Why am I getting errors? Let me jump back in here and figure that out. Oh, everything is a freaking cluster F, so I got to get rid of all this crap that I've, you know, left in here. And now I have a bug. See, I'm trying to delete this. I'm hitting the delete button, and I don't even have any options for that. So there's another weird thing. Why? Why does that happen? I don't know. If I compile it, can I delete it? Hey, look at that. So that was something I figured out a while back, is that even though it says it's compiled, you can't delete something until you compile it. And so, what's going on here, Unreal? Anyways, it's all good. It's all good. So this whole section here is just setting up flipper angles and things like that. So this is me trying to get organized now and keep things organized, so it takes me less time to fix stuff. These are just other inputs. This is unrelated to what we're talking about. So I like to just go through and clean up stuff that is just sitting around, because you know you end up getting a lot of see, we can just copy that, move that over here, and we've got this one and this one. There, that cleans that up a little bit. See, um, this doesn't really need to be so fancy or anything. I don't really need to worry about that terribly, but see, sometimes my OCD will kick in and I'll just sit here doing this for an hour and then I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? Shit, what was I even working on? Oh yeah. uh, so a lot of these things going up here, this little kind of sprig of stuff, is just going to this print string so I can see what's going on. But actually I can just get rid of all of this because I don't really need it. And you can see how much that cleans up stuff. But for now in debug mode, I kind of need that. So I'm just going to leave it there. That is unnecessary. We can straighten that up a little bit, clean it up. I like to kind of pull things together when I can. Oh, but we should pull this together and put this down in there because that's part of that too. These are not necessary. That's necessary. That's not. We don't need that. Or this. I think I can delete that. Yep. Okay. Now we got this print string. I don't need that one. All right. So now we've cleaned this up a little bit. That's all our, event tick stuff. So the flipper is either flipping or it's not. And that's what the flipping activity is based on. This is not necessary. And that is probably not necessary. This is our begin play section. So when the scene begins, this gets executed. And so it'll set up some things. If we're not in edit mode, it'll show the flipper, hide it, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of stuff. This one is just getting logic group control. And we got other stuff like this sets a start position variable, yada, yada, yada. So just basic setup stuff. Okay. Kind of want to move that over there. So this is setting material instances, and then this is setting dynamic colors and things like that. So those are important too. All right, and then that, kind of like to have my stuff organized this way. So top left comes in and executes this first on begin play, and then during play, this is what gets executed. And then this down here is actually, oops, I want to move that up here because this kind of goes up there. All right. And then this is our, sorry, this is our main execution path. So we can clean that up a little bit this way. And that's fine. Oh, that doesn't look like it's of any use. Let's see. These kind of things, since they're related, I like to kind of group them next to each other when possible. This could go back. These sometimes like to just stack stuff like that, like the little variable settings stuff, like you're basically setting flags. I mean, you could do it like this if you want, or whatever, or we could just stretch this back out that way and give ourselves a little bit more room there. This kind of thing could be cleaned up. This is just a reference to this right here. So we can just pull out one and just hook it up there, remove that, and now it's a little bit cleaner looking. So that's just pulling the relative rotation for comparisons and stuff. So yeah, that looks pretty good. A little bit cleaner. Could clean this up a little bit. Yeah, that's good enough. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not showing this to anybody outside of you guys right now, the 2 people that might ever watch this video. But anyways, that's basically how that part of the game goes that I'm working on currently. All right, so let's see. Whenever I do get it to a point, I like to go up here and do a build. So we'll delete this and we'll hit build. And we've got the build folder inside our main folder there, and we'll do that. And now we're building the game. And we'll just wait for that to finish. I hope you guys are having a good day. It's Saturday here where I am, and it's about 110 degrees outside. But it's like a cool 77 in here. Yay! That's awesome. All right. So, yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this game as much as I enjoy working on it. It's definitely a labor of love for me, and I I am obsessed with it. Just don't ever doubt that. I will be obsessed with this till the day I die, I'm sure. Let's see. I clean this up a smidge. I move this up here. Just hanging out there. Waiting to be organized. There we go. There. A lot of this are like events and things. We got to set a group name, custom events, a lot of different event stuff going on. When the objects get loaded, they go through a series of configuration changes and stuff like that. Configurator. So we can just keep on messing around and cleaning things up while it's compiling, and then we'll go jump into the game when it's done, and we'll see what happens. This is the autoplay section. So this is just some autoplay related code. Okay. Packaging usually takes a few minutes. It's typically not too bad. Oh, don't need that. Oh, do we? No, we don't need that. Okay, and I don't think we need that one. So it's important to keep your stuff clean and organized as best as you can. Comment it. These comment boxes are great. You can change the size of the text. Comments are easy to do. All you got to do is press the C key wherever you are. I can hit C right here and it'll insert a comment. Hello! And then, can change the color of it to whatever you want. And you can change the font size to something massive even if you wanted to. I like 33 because when I'm zoomed out, I can still kind of read it. And the other thing about that is that if you want, you can select some objects and press the C key and it'll wrap what you got with a comment. And then you can just grab it and move that whole thing as a unit. And if you don't want that comment, just hit the delete key and it'll delete it. Make sure you don't have your stuff inside it selected or it'll delete that too. This is also a really great way to just put big old comments. So you can just type whatever and it'll just keep adding it to it. So I'm just gonna put a bunch of, actually let's just copy paste that. So as you can see, it just makes a nice big comment there, which you can, so that could be whatever you want it to be. That could just be like notes on, oh no, what happened? Did I hit cancel? Okay, I gotta go debug. Psst, delete. What happened? Why did we fail? What the heck? Did I not? Okay, everything seems to be working fine. All right, let's try that again. I think I messed up by messing around with it. Maybe I hit the cancel button accidentally. So sorry about that, you guys. I'm just gonna have to do it like that, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so I don't know if I did something to mess that up. I don't know. So just sit there with that. We can look at the plunger. So this was the other thing. This is the new plunger. There's a lot to this. I had to add a physics constraint. So that's that. So basically, it attaches the plunger to the space. And man, this is so deep. See, my brain just shut off. Could you tell? I don't know if you could tell, but my brain just like, it just basically took a holiday. I'm like, yeah, okay, blank. I don't even know what I was talking about. There's a lot within this, though, as you can see. This is crazy. There's a lot to the plunger, but that's not the worst of it. Like here's the ball. So this is all ball related stuff. So this is just the ball itself. That's all code that runs when the ball is running around. And then our edit mode. So this is the heads up display for edit mode here. And it is very complicated. A lot of the editing capability takes place right here in this HUD, actually. So when you edit a playfield and you're pressing these buttons, every single button and object on the HUD has some sort of functionality, of course. And that is handled here. That big spot right there, that is loading the playfield. That's just loading the playfield for edit mode right there. And then there's all kinds of stuff that goes on. And yes, it is a nightmare sometimes, especially things like this section here. So when you select a drop down and you change something, this fires. So I mean, this is a mess. We got stuff just buried everywhere. So yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I really need to move a lot of this stuff off into functions. But if you look here, these are all the functions in here already that I've built. And there are a lot. This is all the functionality I've had to build to do various things in here. Like here, load cabinet. This loads all of your cabinet data. So we come in here and we clear out these arrays, and then we load up the arrays with cabinet data. Then we got to load it to the table in the cabinet and do all that. This is an FBX importer that I started working on that's not really implemented, but here's the load logic data function. This one is used every time you load up a table in edit mode. This loads up all the logic and sets all the logic controllers. This one is used for spawning game objects onto the playfield. So when you spawn a game object onto the playfield, this whole section here gets run. Of course, some parts of it don't need to run. Oh, good. We've got a successful build. All right, so let's see. Let's minimize that. And we will open our build and our other folders. And we'll go back to here. Oops, that's weird. Okay, we'll get these guys and we'll copy our build over here. And yes to that. And then let's see. I want this to be about right there. And we'll fire this up. Steam is going to have to start. And now PinBuilder will start. And so this is what I just built. There's not a lot of difference between this one and the last time I built it, but I just wanted to show you like how the process works really. So now I'll just open up this test map table. All right, so now we're in edit mode, obviously. And, setting these up was definitely a challenge, being able to do that. You can't rotate it, can't scale it. You got to just move it. You can put it wherever you want. But for now, this is going to just be straight this way. So Let's jump into play mode and see what that flipper looks like. Aha. Yeah, see, it's not attached. It's not getting attached to the play field. So um, right. So now sometimes I get this bug and I don't know what the hell is going on. I can't start a game for some reason. It's got something to do with the menu. I know what the basic problem is, but it doesn't happen very often, so I forget to update that. So if you've seen that bug, that'd be why. All right, so come on. Okay, now it just doesn't want to start playing. What the fuck is going on here? Wait, let's yeah, see, here we got another issue happening, and I'm not quite sure what it is. This is brand new, so it could be something it could be related to something I just changed. Could be something else. So let's see if it does it with this one too. Okay, gotta play. Yep, not behaving as it should. Something happened. I don't know what. All right, where's the ball? Where's the ball? Where's the ball? Is it gonna fire up? There we go. All right, I don't know what the fuck happened, so something weird is going on. But now we've got our, as you can see, this, so in the actual game here, we can see you can see the control is a lot better. Now there's not really enough power on this flipper. One thing I want to test is passing it. Well, it's flipping up too high. That's a problem. So, and it's too weak. So let's go over here and power that up a little bit and see if it. Basically, what I'm doing at the moment is just trying to see in the real play context how this is being affected. Like, is this really working the way I want it to as far as feel and all that jazz? So we'll see. Obviously got a strange bug to fix with the ball not even appearing for some reason. So that's got to go down and then it'll start. So now we should have, yeah, now we've got now we have a little bit better power happening here. Let's see if we can get it up the. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that drain. We got one in the trough over there though, so over here. So we're still playing, but I'm just gonna show you some stuff. By the way, if you press the U key, you get the cursor, and then you can. Oh, that's not functioning the way I wanted it to. Never mind. Well, you can click on things and test them to make sure they function. But anyway, I was going to tell you, these are physics objects. So you can see, like, if you touch them, they move. And you can see that the spring on that is pretty tight. That's one of those things that I need to look at. Also, it may be too tall. It looks like it's going up into the glass. That's great. Okay. Yeah, Mama has some work to do still, obviously. I'm clicking on that. You can click on those. So yeah, anyway. All right, you guys, I think I'm going to end this right now because I'm actually getting really hungry, and I've been at it for a little while. And you guys are probably bored out of your friggin' minds. So this has been Anna, and I hope you guys gleaned at least a little something from this. I really hope that you understand that it is my goal in my life to make this awesome. You know, I don't want this to be some stupid thing that people are like, oh God, that's cute, but it's crap. No, that's not the end result I want. I want people to say, oh my God, this is fun. This is awesome. And tell your friends, you know, and basically that's what I'm after. I want people to have a good time, you know, with my stuff I build. And, you know, it's going to take me a little while. If you guys know anyone who is a developer, or if you're a developer and you have any suggestions or any advice, I'm always open to that. Always open to advice from my friends in the community. And where is she? She's hiding. It's one of my favorite movies. I just watched it again recently. So anyway, yeah, you guys just hang in there, be patient. I know it sometimes seems like it's taking me a while, but I guarantee I'm working hard. I'm working hard for you as best as I can. Although it's really, really hard for me to keep focused, especially in occasions where you know, stuff gets really, really challenging. Um, it gets kind of gets to be a challenge sometimes, but hey, I'm here and I'm working on it. So I really appreciate you guys being there and being part of this journey with me. And if you like seeing this behind the scenes content, or if you're a game developer also, or a coder, or an Unreal Engine enthusiast, and you've got suggestions on how I can improve the physics of any of this, please let me know. I'm still learning. You know, there's a lot to know behind the scenes on this engine. Um, but feel free to reach out to me at pinbuildergame@gmail.com, or on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page there too, but I really don't use it very much anymore. Also, there are the Steam Hub discussions, which, as I said earlier, I've been bad at keeping up with because of, you know, hyper focused on trying to get this to work the way I want it to, the way you guys need it to and want it to. And so I kind of end up um, disappearing for a minute, which I'm sure it looks to you like I'm disappearing and falling off the face of the earth, but I'm not. I'm right here, buddy. So stick with me, hang in there, have faith, keep up the good enjoyment of the game, and submitting your awesome playfields to the Steam Workshop. And I guess that's it for now. I feel like there's much more that I want to say, and I don't really know. Like most of the time when I'm coding, I'm just quiet, just focused, and I don't really talk while I'm working, so it's kind of hard for me to do that right here. So, anyways, yeah, that's my update for August 17th. This was a live Twitch stream, so I might do more of these. If you guys like these live behind the scenes coding videos or streams, please let me know. I'd be happy to keep on sharing my knowledge as a coder and a developer and all that, and giving you guys some insight into how the game actually works. So it's a hell of a lot to it, you guys, and I'm just happily in my zone over here. All right, I'm gonna sign off. Take care and have a great weekend.